Uh, yeah, let's, I hope Justice Conyers can join us. I see Dave Capel. How about Joyce? Is Joyce on the line?
Joyce told us that she couldn't make this month's meeting, Ken.
Okay. So in terms of people from whom you got, affirmative RSVPs, it's just Justice Conyers that we're still waiting for.
Correct. And Elaine Gross is not on yet, or Abidan, but we have enough without them to open the meetings. We're expecting them both.
Good. Well, then let's open the meeting, Alex. I'm pleased to do that. I do want to, and you guys know I would do this if we were meeting in person, and in many ways I wish we were. But even if we're doing this on WebEx, I would like to ask for a moment of silence for the victims of this horrible racist shooting in Buffalo on Saturday afternoon. When you mentioned Justice Conyers, who's from Buffalo, we think of all of our friends in Buffalo, well, all of us all across the state, horrified by that racist attack. And again, I think we should have, if it's okay, kind of a moment of reflection and prayer for the victims of that attack, as well as the attack in California. Thank you. It's you all know me as someone who's usually not at a loss for words. When this happened, I've been at a loss for words all weekend and into today. All right, well, we move on. We have 16 items on our agenda today from our various agencies that all of us are involved in at some level. Alex, let me start by asking you to take the steps we need to do this so we can get the meeting started and do it with this great technology called WebEx.
Okay, happy to do that. Legislation in response to the continuing impact of COVID-19 has extended the exemption to the open meetings law that provides that public bodies may meet to take actions without permitting in-public, in-person access to those meetings, and authorizes meetings to be held remotely by conference call, provided that the public has the ability to view or listen to those proceedings and that they're recorded and later transcribed. This year's budget contains amendments to the public offices law that would permit continuing participation by board members in public meetings using video facilities. So I just wanted to point out that this is our last video WebEx meeting under the amendments to the to the open meetings law that got passed as part of the budget starting June 8th, and our next board meeting is June 9th. Starting June 8th, the new procedures, the old COVID procedures go away, and we go back to our old system. I know we've got board members that came in during the COVID era and have probably never been part of our prior system, so we're going to provide a refresher to folks before that meeting, but we're basically going to go back to the system where folks can attend here at 641 Lex, and those who cannot will attend via video conferencing from our Albany office, from Syracuse office, from the Buffalo office, as well as from Long Island. And in each of those locations, the public obviously has the right to attend. So we will be going back to that as our main process starting with the June 9th meeting. The new law does provide for a different option, and it is an option that we can choose, which is the agency can adopt a resolution following a public hearing that would include new procedures that would allow for board members to participate from remote locations via video, but without permitting in public access in extraordinary circumstances. and the legislation gives a list, a non, it's not all inclusive, but a list of examples, illness, other types of extraordinary situations that happen that would not permit the board member to go to the regular video facilities. If those circumstances are in place, then the board member can participate via video, not phone, video, from their private location, and they can vote on the items. They don't count, unfortunately, for a quorum. So we won't be able to count them, but they can vote. And so that will be something that I think we assume the board members would like to have that option. So assuming that's the case, we're going to prepare those procedures, have the public hearing, and then come back to the board to adopt the resolution. And following that, presumably in August or September, we would then be in a position where we do our normal video plus in-house participation at 641 Lex, and have the option of, in extraordinary cases, allowing the board members to vote through video from remote locations. Okay?
Okay. Any questions for Alex? Alex, do you want to set us up with the various motions and things we need to do?
Yes. So with that, today's meeting is being held via a video conference instead of a public meeting for the public to attend in person, but a call-in number has been made public so that any interested members of the public can listen to the proceedings. I'm going to ask for motions now in seconds to call to order the May 16, 2022 meetings. I will first start with HFA, HTFC, and AHC. Can I have a motion to open the meeting?
So moved.
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
B, okay. And now I'm going to do a roll call that we will use for votes throughout today's meetings. We have Ken and B. Ruth Ann?
Yay, aye, yes.
Aye.
What's the right answer?
Chris, I know Chris is on the line. Chris Curtis?
Good afternoon, aye.
Hi, Chris. Jesse Olchak from DOB? Jesse, can you hear us? You're on mute probably, Jesse. Okay, we'll go back to Jesse. Sadie McEwen?
Aye.
Hi, Sadie. And is Judge Sconiers on? No. All right, let's go back to Jesse. Jesse, can you hear us? All right, we'll go back to Jesse in a second. We don't have a quorum yet until we get Jesse.
Sorry,
let's do
muting issues. I'm here.
Okay, great. So we have a quorum for HFA, HTFC, and AHC. Let's do SONYMA. Can I have a motion to open that meeting?
So move.
And a second?
Second, Elaine.
Okay. All right. Chairman Adams?
Here.
Ruth Ann?
Aye, here, yes.
Jonathan Ballin?
Here.
Okay, I know Dave made the motion. Jesse?
Aye.
Elaine Gross?
Here.
Abidan? I don't think Abidan is on yet. And B?
Here.
B Gonzalez?
Here.
Okay, so we have a quorum there. Thank you, B. Then I'm going to ask a motion in a second for the HFA Finance and Program Committee. That's Chairman Adams, Jesse, and Ruth Ann. So a motion.
I'll make the motion, Alex. It's Ken.
Second, Regan.
Okay. Second, Ruth Ann. And Jesse?
Aye.
Okay. Now we're going to do the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee. So can I have a motion for that committee?
So moved.
Okay, Jonathan, and a
Second.
second? Okay,
Second, Dave.
Chairman, yep, got it. Chairman Adams,
Aye.
Ruth Ann,
Aye.
and Jesse.
Aye.
Let me loop back before we go to see if Judge Sconiers has joined us. Now, if Judge Sconiers is not able to join, Ken, there will be one item later in the HTFC agenda that we're not going to have a minimum number of votes for since Sadie needs to recuse herself. But we have some time, so we're going to try to reach out to her. But all the meetings are now open.
Good, Alex, thanks very much for doing that. Let's move to Ruth Ann for her president's report, please. Hi, Ruth Ann.
Hi, good morning, everybody. It will be nice to see some of you in person next month when we go back, and we'll make sure we get.
It may be morning where you are, but it's afternoon here in
Oh,
Queens.
sorry, I was reading off my things. It does say good morning. Oops. I will also take a moment to echo Ken's sentiments and mourn the loss of the 10 people at the supermarket in Buffalo this weekend. Our thoughts at the agency certainly go out to the families and to the larger Buffalo community. And in the same sort of sad note, I would also want to let you know that a dear colleague of ours passed away since our last board meeting at HCR. And we are a big agency and we do lose people. This was a time when we lost somebody who was merely 46, so very sudden and very, very much saddened. Someone at the agency named George Chen, who worked on the debt issuance team under Mielina, under Fabia, and been here for 21 years. Was a very, very loved member of the HR community, and many people went to the wake on Friday, and the funeral was past Saturday. So it's been a sad couple weeks here at the agency for that. Before we get to the agenda, I would just highlight a couple things that are going on or have been going on. As you all recall, we approved at the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee last month or the month before the refinancing of Co-op City. So we're really excited to announce that that deal did close. We did not only an announcement, we also did an event that the governor came to, as well as Senator Schumer, Congressman Bowman, State Senator Jamal Bailey, the HUD Regional Director, Alika Ambry-Samwell, and the Co-op City Board President, and obviously many members of the board were all there. It was a really wonderful, joyous event. I think, Co-op City is a wonderful place, and their ability to now keep their properties maintained without having co-op maintenance increases is sort of a great part of their success story. So it really demonstrates all the great work that we do for New Yorkers, and it was sort of a wonderful event. And speaking of events, not sure we're out of anything yet, but we are at that moment in time where we are sort of out a little bit in the world doing some more events with the weather getting nicer and COVID numbers, I don't know, going up and down, but sometimes when they're down. So we recently were in Buffalo. I was in Buffalo. We were in Batavia and Binghamton and Brooklyn. Last week, we celebrated 2 great ribbon cuttings. Always nice to see people moving into our buildings and talking about their life experiences and the impact that having stable housing has on their ability to live out the rest of their lives. So we did one in Brooklyn last week on Monday, Tuesday. We did a project in Ithaca on Thursday that included a set aside for youth aging out of foster care, obviously a very much needed type of housing that isn't that sort of prevalent in the state. So both really great events, really reminding us how much affordable housing matters, how much on-site services matters. A lot of these projects, one has an art studio in it. They often have retail. They're activating street fronts. So it's been a nice couple of weeks of having a lot of events. And I think looking ahead, we'll continue to be pretty busy. We are going to be in the Bronx and Syracuse and the Finger Lakes and the Hudson Valley, Mohawk Valley. We have a lot of ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings set up for the next 2 months. And, excitingly, as I said, they sort of represent new homes for so many residents and bringing much needed investment to communities. So that's been great. This week also is the New York State Association for Affordable Housing's conference. So I'm going to do a plenary session about land use with some external folks. And then there's a series of panels during the day, and many HCR staff are going to be on those, talking about our new housing plan programs, which is great. Our, consistently reminding people that all the work that we do is directly tied to people's ability to get good quality, affordable housing in the communities of their choice. And it means that we're talking a lot in all these events and in all these panels about fair access to housing, about revitalization, about energy efficiency, about broadband, about the connection between health and housing, and about green space. So I think people will hear a lot of those themes echoed by myself and also across the staff as we talk about our work. Along those lines, today we're going to hear a bit about our community development block grant program. So as you know, CDBG, we administer it to cities, towns, and villages with populations under 50,000 and to counties with populations under 200,000. And the funding is used always to benefit low and moderate income persons, either to prevent or eliminate blight, address a community development need. There's sort of a series of uses, but you'll hear some interesting grants there under Dina Levy and Crystal Loeffler's leadership. There's 14 terrific projects that are coming through across the state. And these are the types of programs that really provide immediate assistance to New Yorkers who need it. So that's really great. And lastly, I would just say, for those of you that don't get all the same wonky housing blogs that I do, the president today is announcing a comprehensive national strategy to talk about how to close the gap in affordable housing for Americans. And it's really focused on supply, which is really great. And it's focused on regulatory policies and changes that really are attempting to maximize the impact of every federal dollar that gets spent. It's about 11-page plan. It's sort of an easy read if you can't fall asleep in the middle of the night. And it sort of is founded in this notion that housing costs make up about 1/3 of the market basket for inflation as determined by the Consumer Price Index. So we really need to get housing costs under control. And as you also read any other nerdy housing blogs, you'll see constant reporting of rents everywhere going up and up and up. And there's a lot of interesting things in the president's plan around working with Fannie Mae to sort of expand the types of lending they're doing, reforms to the low-income housing tax credit, to the home program. There's also a lot of work around zoning. I'm sure you maybe have heard some, they want to sort of get sort of balancing between this carrot and stick approach around land use reform at the locality level and giving people higher scores if they have better land use policies as relates to density, which I think is great. There's also some efforts on manufactured housing and accessory dwelling units and lots of things that we've been talking about as well. So it's really great. It's very supply side focused. There's also some issues around the supply chain, which is an issue that you've heard us talk about in terms of materials. So hopefully a lot more to come on that. And I will stop chatting and turn it back to you, Ken. Thanks, everyone.
Ruth Ann, thank you. I know you're being modest when you probably wrote the president's remarks today. And so thanks for that. We're all grateful to your advocacy in Washington. We've got to do some of the things we do, improve meetings and such, like we do at the beginning of all of our meetings. So Alex, let's do items 1 and 2. Item 1 is the transcript, approval of the transcript of the meetings that were held on April 14th. And they shall be deemed approved absent corrections from members or directors. So let me pause just to see if anybody has any comments on the minutes of the meeting, the April meeting. Okay, good. Item 2 is the resolution authorizing the fiscal year 22 administrative budget amendment. I was going to say, let's just an amendment because fiscal year 22 already ended. So Betsy is going to walk us through this, and it's in your board book in that early section in what is otherwise a 400+ page board book. Betsy, how are you? Where are you?
Hi, Chairman. This is Diana Nebbiolo up in Albany.
Ah, that's right. I didn't see Betsy there. Okay. Hi, Diana.
Betsy is stuck on a flight, so I will be doing this action item for you today, and hopefully I can do it justice as she would. Today we're requesting an increase of $5.4 million to the operating budget for the hiring of approximately 40 additional staff due to what will be a substantial increase in the volume of work that we have given the $4 billion recently enacted as part of the This request represents a nearly 6% increase over the current operating budget, which is about $92.5 million. And importantly, will raise our approved FTE levels to 353 from 313. As you all know, the recently enacted state budget included funding for both the development and launch of new programs, as well as increases to existing programs. They're all fully detailed in the memo that you all have, but one such example is an innovative new electrification program that will improve energy efficiency for 50,000 homes. And there's a lot of new launches that this agency is going to be responsible for, and we need to staff up appropriately. The requested additional staff will cut across all departments as outlined in the memo, ranging from development to lead staff to procurement and treasury. So it really, this additional staffing resources will support all aspects of the agency in implementing the new housing plan. The agency has sufficient ongoing net revenues to support this budget amendment, and the increase will not adversely affect current programs or operations.
Thanks. Thank you, Diana, and give our thanks to Betsy when she lands. Alex, let's see. First of all, are any questions for Diana on the budget increase for the staffing? I, for one, think this is good news because we've heard for a number of years from Ruth Ann and Betsy and others about just areas of the agency where you're stretched thin. Remember my friends, the BAM discussions of a couple of years ago. So really important staffing to the appropriate level. I'm going to guess, push comes to shove, Ruth Ann would say this is a step in the right direction, but it's still not complete because DOB, Jesse's on the line and Jesse's going to watch this very carefully, and DOB is never going to approve any kind of excessive staffing in state government, but hopefully this is a step in the right direction, right, Ruth Ann?
Absolutely.
Good. Any questions for Diana or Ruth Ann?
Hi, Ken. It's Daryl. How are you?
Hi, Daryl. Great. Good to see you.
Hi. Betsy had asked me just to weigh in real briefly on this particular item. And I just wanted to say, as Deputy CFO, I oversee all the financial transactions for the agency, the revenues and expenses. We have that information obviously audited by Ernst & Young on an annual basis. And I do believe, as Diana said, that, we have sufficient ongoing net revenues from our current revenue stream to support this amendment, and that this is going to be something that will not impact the current programmatic or operational activities that we have now.
Daryl, thank you that's very helpful to reassure us that obviously the funding's available for this. And it's good to hear your voice. And I also will go back to many conversations with your predecessor, Sheila Robinson, around her concerns that for, let's call it kind of comprehensive financial management and compliance with many different, finance auditing and reporting functions, we've had some staff shortages even on your team. And so I know this are some other positions involved here, but whatever we can do to build up the staff capacity of the agency, I think is a good thing. So thanks for thinking of Sheila when I'm saying that, because she made these concerns. But thank you for saying that. Any questions for Daryl or Diana? All right, Alex, do you want to do a motion, please, to approve this?
Yes. Now before SONYMA, HFA, and AHC is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the first and seconds previously entered for SONYMA, HFA, and AHC, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diana.
Thanks.
All right. Now in this tight labor market, recognizing that the state doesn't always pay the highest, most competitive salaries, going out and finding the talent. Now spending the money, now you just got to find the people. Good luck. I know in CUNY we're having some challenges finding the people right now. Thanks, Alex. Thanks, everyone. The next item on the agenda is an informational item. There'll be no discussion on it unless anybody wants to talk about it. It's number 3. the activity report for the mortgage insurance committee for April. Anybody have any questions on that? Good. Now we're going to move to an item regarding mortgage insurance committee, HFA finance and program committee, and HFA member action. So three entities here, two committees and the HFA board members themselves in this combo approach that Alex developed a couple of years ago. It's number 4. 4A is a resolution, the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee approving 100% mortgage insurance on a $2,130,000 HFA permanent first mortgage loan for the Canal Hill project, which is in Rochester. And then B, 4B, resolutions of the HFA Finance and Program Committee, HFA members recommending an authorization amount not to exceed $36,335,000 of fixed and or variable rate, tax exempt or maybe not, i.e. taxable bonds, and not to exceed $14 million, part 3 here, $14 million in HFA subsidy funds for this project, which again is called the Canal Hill project in Monroe County in Rochester. So Mike, are you on the line? Are you going to, oh, there, in your office at Lexington Avenue. Mike's going to present this and Julie will help out when it comes to the presentation for the HFA directors.
This project comprises the historic readaptation and rehab of 2 buildings with 123 all low-income units, of which 70 are supportive housing units. The insured loan amount is $17,000 per unit, which equals only 3% of the project's total development cost of $522,000 per unit. And the project will break even with a 10% pro forma vacancy rate or a 7% increase in pro forma operating expenses.
Thanks, Mike. Is Julie there? Who's presenting for HFA?
Yeah, I think Julie's presenting. Julie, are you on?
Yes, I'm here. Can everyone hear me?
Loud and clear.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. So I'm fighting this cold, so I'm going to keep my remarks succinct today because I have 7 to present, but I am happy to answer any questions that might not be covered in my initial remarks. Okay, so I'm here to present Canal Street Apartments. This is an adaptive reuse of an historic building that was formerly used as a warehouse and factory into a residential building with 123 units of affordable housing located in Rochester, Monroe County, New York. We're excited about this project as it reaches several of the agency's priorities and goals, including supporting local community renewal and revitalization, creating integrated supportive housing, preventing and ending homelessness. This project is an example of our investing in buildings owned and operated by not-for-profit sponsors, in this case, the East House, which is a not-for-profit provider that has been operating in the region for more than 30 years. The project site currently houses 3 buildings. The first has historic significance and will be transformed into our residential building. The other 2 smaller buildings were used as a garage and have no historic significance, so will be demolished. The building is known as the Utz Dunn Shoe Company building. It's a 5-story red brick construction building with timber frame interior and a Renaissance Revival style exterior. The historic record indicates it was first built around 1900 with later add-ons between 1904 and 1910. Until 1950, the building was used for shoe manufacturing, later used as a paper factory, macaroni manufacturing, storage space, and most recently as offices for Volunteers of America. It is located in the Susan B. Anthony Historic District of Rochester and is less than a mile from the inner loop in the Central Business District. This area has been of particular focus for Rochester as the locality aims to revitalize this historic area with new affordable housing opportunities. The site has easy access to transit, local commercial and community facility uses, is in close proximity to the Bull's Head revitalization, which is a large-scale redevelopment initiative near St. Mary's Hospital campus. That concludes my remarks, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Julie, thank you. Any questions for Julie or Mike on this project? All right, Alex, well, hearing none, let's do the honors, please.
Right. Now before the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee is a resolution transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the first and seconds previously entered for the Mortgage Insurance Committee, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted. Now before the HFA members and the HFA Finance and Program Committee are resolutions to be adopted that were transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and seconds previously entered for HFA and for the Finance Committee, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motions are carried and the resolution adopted.
Terrific. Thank you, Alex. Thanks, everyone. Let's go to item number 5. It's a resolution of the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee approving 100% mortgage insurance on a $5,270,000 HFA permanent first mortgage loan for a project called the Lion Factory, which is in Troy, Rensselaer County. And part B of this, item 5, are resolutions of the HFA Finance and Program Committee and the HFA members recommending and authorizing an amount not to exceed $36,600,000, a fixed or variable rate, tax exempt and or tax, and an amount not to exceed $18,107,482 in HFA subsidy funds. And the award of $1,887,500 of NYSERDA Clean Energy Initiative, or CEI funding, for this project, again known as the Lion Factory project in beautiful Troy, Rensselaer County. So Mike, again, will do the honors of telling us about the Mortgage Insurance Committee, mortgage insurance, and then we'll go back to Sheila, who's like saving her voice right now by not speaking, and for a presentation for HFA. So Mike, let's go to you first.
This project comprises the historic readaptation of a former factory building into 151 all low-income units, including 25 supportive housing units. The project is being developed by Reagan Development, and this is the 21st loan insured by the MIF on entities controlled by Reagan Development, with a total loan amount of $49 million. The insured loan amount is $35,000 per unit, which equals 9% of the project's total development cost of $391,000 per unit. The project will break even with a pro forma 10% vacancy rate or an 8% increase in pro forma operating expenses. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. And now this one, Julie, you know what they say, pictures work 1,000 words, and you've got a lot of really incredible pictures, including the historic images in the board material. So that should save your voice a little bit. Okay, so we pictures. What a massive, incredible building. This is a really exciting project. Tell us about it, Julie.
Thank you. Yeah, this is a very exciting one. We have a number of adaptive reuses this time around, and they're all really very interesting. So this is the Lion Factory. It's an adaptive reuse of a 6-story historic building in Troy. It was formerly used to manufacture men's clothing and is owned by the Standard Manufacturing Company. The building will be transformed into 151 units of housing with approximately 8,000 square feet of commercial space on the ground floor. The building was built between 1884 and 1910, and the design anticipates the rehab and reuse of the structure while maintaining the building's historic character. As was mentioned, this is also one of our first recipients of the NYSERDA CEI funds and will produce a highly efficient all-electric building. The building itself is quite impressive. It occupies a full city block. It is an example of late 19th, early 20th century industrial design, and therefore qualifies on the National Register of Historic Places. Until 1910, it was the largest manufacturing building of its kind in the area and operated for many years under the name United Shirt and Collar Company. In 1970, it was purchased by its current owner, a family-run Standard Manufacturing Company. Standard will occupy the commercial space, and it will be used no longer for manufacturing, but as a space to fill special orders. So as more of a commercial space on the ground floor. The project reaches several of the agency's priorities and goals, including supporting local community renewal and revitalization, and creating integrated supportive housing. Reagan Development will be the project developer. Reagan is well known to the agency, has developed over $384 million in residential properties, including 19 projects that SONYMA currently insures. All units will be affordable up to 60% of AMI. 25 of those units will serve households affected by domestic violence under the Hfa program, with the services provided by the Unity House of Troy. There will also be 6 market rate units in this project, as was required by the city of Troy for plan approval. It's located in the Lansingburg neighborhood, which was cited in the city of Troy's 2020 to 2024 consolidated plan as a priority neighborhood for the city's revitalization and redevelopment. It's in proximity to the 3 major highways and is easily accessible to public transit. There are local community uses within a 10-minute walk from the projects. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Julie, thank you. So again, a really exciting project. Many of you know Troy. You think of RPI, you think of the filming of Age of Innocence, or other, all sorts of incredible downtown architecture, the Emma Willard School. Oh, the list goes on. But Alex knows Troy as the shirt collar capital of the world, because as any well-dressed, turned out professional like Alex can tell you, for a long time, shirts, collars were separate items. And Troy was, I'm not kidding you, the shirt collar capital of the world. And it is my sense, Julie, that many of those great shirt collars that put Troy on the map were made in this very building in the late 19th century. And again, Alex can vouch for this. For any of you who wondered about why Troy is called the shirt collar capital of the world, wonder no more. This project is a great historic reminder of Troy's dominance in that global manufacturing competition. So thank you, Julie, for reminding us of that. Other questions for Julie about this project?
Ken, it's Dave. I have a couple of questions that relate to this project and also a couple of others down the agenda. All of these reuse of industrial space like this are really terrific to see. The New England's loaded with buildings like this. It could all be revitalized in a similar way. But I know 2 things. One is in each case, the ground floor substantial amounts of the ground floor are being used for commercial purposes and project rents. The question is whether there's any risk associated with those uses to the financial performance of the projects. That's question number 1. The other thing is just an observation. I note that the per unit cost of construction on a couple of these projects is unusually high. And I don't know whether that relates to the added cost of renovating the commercial space or whether that's just a reflection of inflation. But I see some of the units are coming in at $600,000 or better a piece, which is higher than we've seen on prior agendas. So those are my 2 questions.
Thank you, Dave.
Those are both great questions. To your question about increasing costs due to inflation, the answer is yes, they are increasing. We did see a bit of increase in this round. Fortunately, we were able to mitigate in a couple of different ways. And in most cases did not require us to add more subsidy, so that's good. Adaptive reuse, yes, we can expect to be more expensive in many cases than new construction, let's say, due to the more complicated nature of the type of building construction methodology, and also incorporating the historic components into the deals. So those are great observations and both things that are happening. Did you have a question about the ground floor space also?
Yeah, just thank you for that. The other question is there any added risk associated with the assumptions around rent for ground floor space? I noticed on the Hickey Friedman project, for example, it's a large space that's involved. And I wonder whether the loss of rent, if it were to happen, would dramatically impact the residential side of the equation.
I can answer, and then perhaps Mike Friedman might have more to add on this, but I can say that in both of these cases, we know who the ground floor tenants are, and we know what their leases say. So that makes us feel much more comfortable. In the case of the Hickey Friedman building, actually, it's also a very important economic development initiative for the locality. So we're actually getting quite a fair amount of financing from New York State ESD to support that component, the non-residential component. And Hickey Friedman is they will essentially own that condo. So we feel the risk is mitigated there. I'm not sure, maybe Mike, if you have more to add.
Could you, excuse me, it's John Ballin. In what form is the ESD support that you just described? Is it a grant? Is it a?
It's capital, and I'm just going to pull the memo. It's capital, and it will most likely be structured as a loan, a non-interest bearing loan. I just need 1 second to verify that.
Thank you.
Julie, that's the second project we haven't seen yet. You're talking about the Hickey Friedman project?
Right, that's right. Hickey Friedman, right. For this one, there is no ESD financing.
So, John, I think that's.
Could you remind me? Oh, go ahead, Ken.
No, John, I'm sorry. The ESD support is for a project coming down on the agenda here we haven't actually dug into yet. So you might want to see that question.
Yeah, I was just, I jumped the gun based on what was said. I realize that. Thank you.
No problem.
You also remind me, first of all, guys, colleagues, excellent questions. Thank you, Dave. But remind me if sales tax is paid, or is there some type of exemption?
In nearly all of our projects, the development receives a pilot from the locality. We will rarely ever, since I've started this job, go forward on a deal that doesn't involve a pilot from the locality. And this one has a pilot.
That's property tax. Wondering about sales tax.
As an HDFC, and this is, oh gosh, I don't want to say anything wrong here. I know that not-for-profits are exempt from sales tax, and I believe that HDFCs are as well, but I can verify that.
Are you asking, Jonathan, on the material? I think Julie's talking about sales tax on sort of construction materials. So do you mean that, or do you mean more as an operation?
Yes. No, the former.
Oh, yes. I think when there's a sort of, as Julie was saying, where there's when there's HDFC, often they can apply for and receive a sales tax exemption on materials only.
Of course, we have
Chris
from the tax department keeps a close eye on that, John. We've got, the tax department is well represented on this board, and they don't give up sales tax easily.
That's correct.
Well,
the state portion.
When run through an IDA, it is, but it's just an interesting policy question for the board to consider for another day. If this inflation continues, perhaps there's a way to help build the affordable units that everyone craves through some type of exemption from sales tax for materials on affordable housing projects. Anyway, that's food for thought.
But I think Ruth Ann is saying that in many cases that does happen, right? Because the developers, if they're not-for-profit developer, they apply for and get, you know, their entity is a not-for-profit, so they get the exemption and they don't actually pay the sales tax, right, Ruth Ann?
Correct. And they factor that into the underwriting, so, because they know ahead of time.
All right, thank you.
And, you know, when you shop at Hickory Friedman, you get, New York State gives you $110 for your purchase free of sales tax. So just next time you're shopping, you know.
Well, I'll make sure it's got a nice collar on the shirt.
Get a nice collar for less than $110 and you won't be paying your sales tax. Any other questions for Julie or Mike on this exciting project in downtown Troy? Yes.
It's just a thought moving forward, since we're doing so many projects with environmental and energy efficiency built in. How are we going to track the value of that, right, as we move forward for these projects?
Good question. Who takes that, Ruth or Julie?
Sorry, ask it again because it cut out a little bit for me.
I'm just curious how we're going to track the value of the energy saving and efficiencies that we're building into the projects.
Gotcha. Samantha?
Sure, it's a great question. Right now we're working with NYSERDA to not only help support the program funding design, but also what we're calling like the back-end technical capacity building within our agency. So while I don't have a clear concrete plan to tell you just yet, it is definitely very much part of our work plan over the next year to build out what we're calling like an extension of our benchmarking program to look at the carbon emissions offsets and impact that we're having in that space. So happy to present on a fuller solution, but really good question, definitely on the radar for solving.
Great. Thanks, Samantha. Thanks, B, for the question. Any other questions or comments on this project in Troy? If not, Alex, let's move ahead.
Now before the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee is a resolution transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the first and seconds previously entered for the Mortgage Insurance Committee, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted. Now before the HFA members and the HFA Finance and Program Committee are resolutions to be adopted that were transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the first and seconds previously entered for HFA and for the Finance Committee, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motions are carried and the resolution adopted.
Thank you, Alex. Hey, a quick question about this for you, Ruth Ann, which is, why do we as a board approve a NYSERDA award for, you know, this is the $1.8 million, right? When NYSERDA has its own board of directors, and I would assume they would take action to allocate the funds to us to the project, but like, why are we voting on something that's the realm of another state authority, NYSERDA?
So we did this, what we think is great sort of partnership with NYSERDA, where rather than having our developers who, as you know, in many of these projects already have to go to 7 different places to get approvals and funding. So rather than having to go to NYSERDA and sort of go through those additional board approvals, they granted the funds to us, and then it only has to go through one approval process through our agency for this clean energy initiative, just the sort of subset of dollars we're working on them with. So we did it to streamline the work.
Great. That's 2 points for government efficiency, and now I know I won't be getting the nasty gram from the chairman of NYSERDA. Okay.
Yeah, Ken, this is Sadie. I'll just chime in quick because I'm on the board of NYSERDA. And this was one of the things that through the Climate Action Council became very clear that it was recognized that housing needed more money to become compliant with the CLCPA. And NYSERDA's process is just adding more documents, more lawyers, more cost. And so Ruth Ann, working really well with Janet Joseph at NYSERDA, was able to put this together. And, you know, this is the way government should work together. So I'm excited about this.
Thank you, Sadie. No, it's really worth noting. It's a great story that, you know, not enough people will tell about government agencies working together, basically to save money for the developers of the project and ultimately the tenants of the housing, right? And forward the, you know, the climate goals. And so really great story. Thank you both. Alex, let's go ahead. Why don't we move on? Let's see, to number 6. And this is, we're going to go to, well, of course, it's called the Taylor Square Project. 6A, B, and C. A is the resolution of SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee approving 100% mortgage insurance on a $5,375,000 HFA permanent first mortgage loan for the Taylor Square Project in Rochester. B, resolutions of HFA Finance and Program Committee HFA members recommending authorizing an amount not to exceed $46,860,000 of fixed and or variable rate tax exempt or maybe not taxable bonds, and an amount not to exceed $14,782,832 in HFA subsidy funds, and an amount not to exceed $4,348,924 in Federal Housing Trust Fund subsidy loans, and an amount not to exceed $1,675,000 in HFA Clean Energy Incentive Subsidy loans. So that's our money, not NYSERDA's, for the Taylor Square Project in Rochester. C of this resolution, of this item 6, is the resolution of the Housing Trust Fund Corporation. Thank you, colleagues of HTFC, authorizing a $4 million Homes for Working Families subsidy loan and a $2 million Community Investment Fund subsidy loan for this project, which is affectionately known as Taylor Square, again, in Rochester. Again, Mike and Julie. Mike, you go first, if you please.
Sure. So this project comprises the historic readaptation of a former factory building into 134 all low-income senior units and 77,000 square feet of commercial space. And the 134 units will include 45 special needs units. Home Leasing, which is the developer, will master lease the commercial space for annual rent of $192,000 per annum. This will be the 14th loan that the MIF has insured for entities controlled by Home Leasing, with a total loan amount of $56 million. The insured loan amount is $40,000 per unit, which equals 6% of the project's total development cost of $626,000 per unit.
All right, thank you. Julie?
Okay, so Taylor Square Apartments is located in Rochester. This is another adaptive reuse of a men's clothing manufacturing building. Was once known as the Temple of Fine Tailoring. The current owner is Hfa Freeman, a high-end men's clothing manufacturer. Built in 1910, this is one of the oldest continuously operating factories of its kind in the area and currently employs approximately 200 local residents. In our research for the board, one of my staff turned up the fun fact that Joe Biden, in fact, wore a Hfa Freeman's inauguration in 2020. The building is on the National Register of Historic Places, and adaptive reuse will retain much of the historic character of the building. And as we mentioned, space for Hfa Freeman to continue operations, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a second. The project is located in North Rochester, about 2 miles north of the downtown, and is an area with mixed residential, commercial, and community facility uses. The building itself is over 200,000 gross square feet. Approximately 156,000 of that will be transformed into 134 affordable housing units. And Hfa Freeman will retain approximately 77,000 square feet to continue its operations in a scaled down, right-sized facility. All of the units will be affordable to households earning up to 70% of AMI, and 45 units will be for the frail elderly, with People's Inc. providing social services under contract with the Department of Health pursuant to the Hfa program. Home Leasing is the project developer. This project reaches several of our priorities, including supporting local community renewal and revitalization, creating integrative supportive housing. This building is also a recipient of HCR's CEI funds, which will allow them to build a fully electric, highly efficient building. The project advances the goals of the Rochester Consolidated Plan. It's a very high-profile project due to some of the things that we discussed earlier. It's, historic and current significance of Hickey Freeman, the fact that it's a major local employer, and that this is an opportunity to essentially continue Hickey Freeman's uses, maintain its employment in the area, while right-sizing their space and allowing us to use the rest of the space for much needed affordable housing. And just to demonstrate the amount of local support here, in addition to our financing, the project is also receiving City of Rochester home funds, Finger Lakes Region Empire State Development Funds, Monroe County Industrial Development Corporation funds, Rochester Gas and Electric Corporation, City of Rochester Business Development Funds, City of Rochester Foundation, in addition to the NYSERDA funds that we are facilitating for this project. So there's lots of folks in Rochester who really want to see this deal happen, and we are excited to be a part of that. I would also note that this building is located in an area of Rochester where the agency has made significant development in the past number of years, including Sibley Square and Pinnacle Place Apartments and Phase 2 of Southeast Towers. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Julie. Question for Julie or Mike about this project in Rochester. We seem to be doing a lot with menswear. And as Dave pointed out, the reclamation of old historic structures in downtown areas, which, especially when they can be, modernized for energy efficiency, it's always a good. No questions or comments for Julie? We're going to let her save her voice. Great.
Okay, now before the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee is a resolution transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the first and seconds previously entered for the Mortgage Insurance Committee, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried. The resolution adopted. Now before the HFA members and the HFA Finance and Program Committee are resolutions to be adopted, transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the first and seconds previously entered for HFA and for the Finance Committee, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motions are carried. The resolution adopted. Now before HTFC is a resolution that was transmitted in this item. Assuming the first and seconds previously entered for HTFC, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried. The resolution adopted.
Good. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Alex, for helping us out with that. Let's go to number 7, a resolution of the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee approving 100% mortgage insurance on an $8,120,000 HFA permanent force mortgage loan for Vital Brooklyn Phase 1B/C3, which is in Brooklyn, in, of course, Kings County. B of item 7 are resolutions of the HFA Finance and Program Committee and the HFA members recommending and authorizing an amount not to exceed $60 million of fixed and or variable rate tax exempt or taxable bonds and an amount not to exceed $52,098,760 in HFA subsidy funds for this project known as Vital Brooklyn Phase 1B/C3. I have a feeling someone's going to explain what that means in a moment. In Brooklyn, in Kings County. Mike, you're up first, to be followed again. Thank you so much in advance by Julie.
So this project comprises the construction of 124 all low-income units. The insured loan amount is $65,500 per unit, which equals 7% of the project's total development cost of $905,000 per unit. But the $905,000 per unit includes $27 million for the development of a new road, a trash collection and maintenance building, which together add $216,000 per unit to the cost of the project. And the new road, which is called South Street, the trash collection building and the maintenance building will serve all of the buildings to be built in this project, not just this project. exclusive of the 27 million. It's 689,000 per unit.
Okay, that's great. Very helpful. Julie, to you, please. Julie, are you there?
I'm here. My apologies. Okay,
No, take your time.
Vital Brooklyn. Board members may remember that we came to you in October for the first part of phase 1 of this project. Buildings, I think we called them 8B1 or C1 and C2. This one is building C3. So this project is building C3, which will complete the first phase of the Brooklyn Developmental Center redevelopment plan. You may remember that this is a large scale, as a project, this is a large scale 6-phase redevelopment of the former Brooklyn Developmental Center, which was a residential facility for folks living with intellectual and developmental disabilities, owned and operated by OPWDD for many years. So we closed down the first phase in December, and demolition is underway. They're heading into construction. This third building of this first phase will be 154 units of new affordable housing. All units affordable up to tenants earning up to 80% of AMI. It reaches the agency's goals of addressing local housing needs and promoting community revitalization and promoting racial and economic integration. As Mike noted, there are 2 significant non-residential components of this project. The first is a road, a DOT road, that will provide access to the campus. Well, it will eventually be a neighborhood, not a campus. And it also includes the development of buildings I and J, which are going to be the maintenance and trash facilities for the entire 2,400 unit site. So while we haven't built all the units yet, this phase will include this facility, which is meant to eventually service the entire site. Why do we need this? We know that the Department of Sanitation will not be providing curbside trash removal services here. So this building will be the primary hub for which trash and recycling trucks can enter. It will also house trash compactors, I think 6 of them. 6 by the time the full site is developed. It will also include offices and storage space for maintenance equipment and other things that will be needed to maintain this quite large site. The project is being designed to meet Passive House standards and includes a number of high efficiency energy features. And with that, I will conclude my comments, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Julie. Questions?
It's kind of a question, but it's also just a comment. We noticed in the AFFH tool that the change in median household income, was going up, even though it didn't meet our standard of the 4 categories to say that it was gentrifying or had gentrified. But that was something that caught our eye. And I don't know if since you seem to be familiar with the area, talking about development more broadly than this unit, do you see that that's happening there in the community, or?
I am familiar with the area and the recent history of the area and affordable housing development there. So I can tell you that this has been a part of the city that previous city administrations and the state have been focused on. The Nehemiah houses are not very far away from here, for example, and other really important affordable housing initiatives that have happened under the past few administrations. So it could be that incomes are rising because of the development, but we do know that a huge component of the development there is financed by city or state and is in some way rent restricted, meant to be affordable housing.
Thank you.
Okay, great. And Elaine, thank you for the observation. Are there questions for Julie or Mike on this? Vita Brooklyn phase 1BC3. Alex,
I'm transfixed by Sadie's cat.
Ah.
That is a beautiful cat. Now before the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee is a resolution transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the first and seconds previously entered for the Mortgage Insurance Committee, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried, the resolution adopted. Now before the SONYMA Board is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the first and seconds previously entered for the board, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Now before the HFA members and the HFA Finance Committee are resolutions to be adopted that were transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the first and seconds previously entered for HFA and for the Finance Committee, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motions are carried and the resolution adopted.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Alex. Now let's go to 8. Resolutions for the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee SONYMA Board. Recommending and approving 100% mortgage insurance on an $18,090,000 HFA permanent first mortgage loan, the Logan Fountain Project, and also in Brooklyn. That 8B. Resolutions of the HFA Finance and Program Committee and the HFA members recommending and authorizing the issuance of an amount not to exceed $71,070,000 of fixed rate or variable rate tax exempt or taxable bonds for this project, which is known as Logan Fountain in Brooklyn. Mike and Julie, back to you, please.
So this project comprises the new construction of 174 all low-income units and 7,000 square feet of commercial space. The 174 units includes 105 units of supportive housing. All of the commercial space will be master leased by the Hudson Companies, the developer, for $115,000 per year for 10 years, which mitigates the risk of the commercial space. The insured loan amount is $104,000 per unit, which equals 15% of the project's total development cost of $671,000 per unit. Thank you.
All right, Mike? Got it.
Okay, Logan Fountain. Here it is. Okay. So I'm pleased to present Logan Fountain. It is located in the Cypress Hills neighborhood of Brooklyn and is part of the 2016 East New York rezoning plan. The project will contain a total of 174 units, all affordable up to 70% of AMI. 105 of those units will be supportive housing under the New York City New York 1515 program and will be set aside for referrals from the shelter system by New York City HRA. The project developer is Hudson Companies, and the service provider on the supportive units is the Jericho Project. They are both very experienced developers, managers, and service providers in mixed affordable and supportive buildings in New York City. This is something of a unique project to the agency, perhaps one of the first we've done. I'm not sure. I believe it's the first we've done. This project is pursuant to the City of New York's purpose-built shelter and housing program, which aims to co-locate permanent, supportive, and affordable housing with transitional shelter. The building itself will be 13-story U-shaped structure developed as 2 separate condominiums. The agency's financing is limited to the first condo, which will be the permanent, affordable, and supportive housing. Financed with a combination of tax-exempt bonds, taxable or tax-exempt bonds, LIHTC equity, and permanent first mortgage. All subsidy for this project will be coming from New York City HPD. The second condo will be transitional housing, fully supported by bonds issued through Citibank and a 30-year debt service and operating contract provided by New York City HRA. The shelter component will be operated by Help USA, a highly experienced not-for-profit service provider and shelter operator in New York City. The 2 condos will have separate entrances. There will be outdoor recreation space provided to all tenants, including shelter tenants, in the central courtyard, as well as indoor amenity spaces on the ground floor in each of the condos. This project reaches several of the agency's priorities, including supporting local community renewal and revitalization, creating integrated supportive housing, and promoting a local initiative of the East New York rezoning and the purpose-built shelter initiative. Project amenities include free Wi-Fi access to all tenants, terraces, community rooms, laundry, and outdoor passive recreation space. The project is designed to meet gold certification and incorporates features like solar panels and Energy Star appliances and light. And I can take any questions.
Julie, thank you. I just want to, maybe, well, no, I guess I'll save that. Let's say there's a lot going on in this project, Ruth Ann. There's a lot happening here.
It's complicated.
Kramer seems to have his name all over it, but that's okay. We know David. Let's see if people have questions about this project for Mike or for Julie.
Julie, I have a question. I see on your form that promote racial and economic integration is checked off. I was kind of surprised to see that because it had the worst score it could possibly have in terms of AFFH. So could you speak to that? Why was your assessment such that it would promote racial and economic integration?
So because this project provides a mix of income levels and housing types, we felt it was an example of a highly integrated project.
Elaine, this was one that in the scoring your colleague sent out to us last week. I just remember that, it was, you commented on this, and take a moment, if you don't mind, Elaine, just to elaborate on how you all viewed the project when you scored it.
So the scoring for the first component has to do with opportunity, but the second component, when it has the minus 100, that's related to the dissimilarity index score, which is really saying that it's really disproportionately non-white, highly disproportionately non-white, that low score. And then the combined score where you do the averaging, that's a minus 75.
Right, good. Does everybody understand how Elaine's organization, I mean, we've talked about this before, and I think it's very helpful to have this additional information, Elaine, that you and your team share with us. Any questions for Elaine on this? I mean, it's an important consideration, to be sure.
And I hope that we've yet to have the discussion that we said we were going to have follow-up session. I don't know if that's still going to be scheduled, the educational session.
I'll turn to Ruth Ann for that, because I know we talked about it, and then we've had scheduling issues, some of which are my fault. Ruth Ann, what's the plan?
You know, we often don't hold a meeting in August unless we need it and sort of reserve that as a free month. It's obviously hard to schedule these for like twice a month because we already take so much of the board's time. So we had thought that we could do it in lieu of a board meeting in August and just use that same, well, now we're on a Monday afternoon, but use our same sort of Thursday morning time slot if that, you know, we could send around time subsequent to this, but if that is notionally acceptable, we can do that.
Yeah, let's do that if directors agree, because I think we should spend some time on it. And Ruth Ann, this is the hard part, and maybe you and Elaine can talk about this offline. But you know what, these considerations that Elaine brings to our attention. It's one thing when we have this discussion on the cusp of a vote to approve a gigantic project with hundreds of affordable units. You know, we're sort of, to be blunt about it, the kind of train has left the station, and here we are saying, well, hold on a second. So how do we have this discussion, you know, with Elaine and this very helpful information she and her group prepare much earlier on in the project development pipeline? Right. I mean, again, we won't figure that out this afternoon, but I'm going to guess it's a little frustrating to Elaine to have this all the way at the end. I know she doesn't want to upset anybody's apple cart, but these are really important considerations. And maybe we need to figure out a way to have them early on. Again, when developers are coming around and saying, I've got this site in this community and I want this financing to do this project, because we could have predicted this, right? Had we, with the same, if we had applied the tool a year ago to David Kramer when he was doing the project, we would have had the same judgment, right?
I guess the question is there that if you applied that and you got the score, would the board have wanted us to tell them we don't want to finance this project, right? That's the, that's
no, and it's hard. It's hard when the incentives are as of right. It's hard when, you know, that's a good, it's very tricky, very tricky.
Yeah.
Question.
I think part of the
Elaine?
reason for, I agree 100% with you, Ken, in terms of the timing. I just happened to find out about it now, you know what I mean, in the process of these meetings. But I really think that it's the staff's responsibility to do on a regular basis a more systematic analysis related to AFFH, as all the agencies are now required to do under the new law that was signed in December, the state law, even though we were required to do it before under HUD. But you know, we've been very transparent about how the assessment is made. And we've simplified it over time. And so anyone could do this, certainly with the staff, you know, the HCR staff, this would not be hard to do. You know, we just have the opportunity score and the dissimilarity index score. This could easily be done on past projects. It would be good for the board to know, okay, in the last X number of years, this is what our actions have done. And are we okay with that distribution? If we're not, then something needs to be done on the front end to make sure that we're getting more projects in that will AFFH.
So I would say just two quick things on that. One is we certainly take our fair housing duties seriously. We are just about to launch we were doing the report, even though the prior presidential administration had eliminated, we've been doing the affirmatively furthering fair housing work, and we are just about to publish all the work we've been done for the last couple of years on that. So we definitely do a lot of work in-house on this for sure, and happy to talk about that more in August. The lens I would just maybe add to this conversation to your second point, Elaine, which I think is a great one, is that if we actually go back, so we're at the end of our 5-year plan, right? If we go back 10 years and look at the prospective 5 years from that, our fair housing scores would be much higher because we were using our resources to fund the big 80/20s in Midtown Manhattan, and those come up very, very high on our score. What we believed, and sort of what penciled out, was that those buildings didn't really need our resources, that the production of those units was getting driven largely by tax exemptions being provided by the city. So we took our resources out of those projects. Those projects, I think, largely, we can still happen. And we are putting our resources in projects that, but for our resources, don't happen. So it's a little bit of a funny historical lens to sort of go from a place where, in fact, we were doing more as an agency in fair housing, but in fact, we thought it was not the right efficient use of limited resources, and instead diverted them into what's now showing up as less fair housing. But we actually think that we're just getting more housing in general. We don't see the whole landscape when we look at just our projects. But we can talk about more of this for sure when we have a longer discussion.
Yeah, it just seems that in the short time that I've been on the board, so it's only a year, a little more than a year, overwhelmingly the projects seem to fall into this category of segregating more rather than, potentially having the potential to integrate and further fair housing. So
yeah, it's right. It's a challenge because we're demand driven, right? So we're sort of funding the projects that come to us. We would fund every housing opportunity project that comes, but as you'd imagine, those projects are not, as for a variety of reasons, don't always come to us. So I don't think it's a reflection of our, not doing the housing opportunity projects as much as it is a reflection of the market in affordable housing and where people are buying sites and bringing them to us. And I think we sort of refer to them as revitalization projects, and that they're doing a lot of investment in neighborhoods that were historically underinvested, but certainly see the point on the segregation.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, Ruth Ann, this is Sadie. I wonder how much of this is really on the marketing side. So you complete a project and you can integrate a neighborhood either way. There could be a priority for racial integration on the marketing side, but I don't know if that's part of the HPD process in New York City or not. Or is it just their lottery and it's whoever first come, first serve?
Yeah, we can talk a little bit about that. I think we can talk more about that.
I mean, again, let's put it on the list for August, Ruth Ann, but I recall, I remember some of this around the Atlantic Yards project when I was at ESD. Often the preference of the lotteries is for local residents, right? So if you're rent encumbered and living in East New York and there's a lottery made available for this project, you want to move there because you get a brand new apartment for less rent. But the composition of the community, even demographic or socioeconomic composition of the community, is not changing because the city's giving that local preference in a lottery system. I think there's a broader question, that drives a lot of this, was just land costs, right? And where we want to see neighborhood integration, we'd want to see it in communities where land costs are higher than this is an old auto salvage junkyard or something that David Kramer acquired. And he's trying to get the land as cheap as he can. So he ends up in this on the corner of Logan and Atlantic Avenue. Much bigger discussion about like government policy about making land available for development so that the integration goal, socioeconomic and racial, can be achieved in communities that otherwise are just prohibitively expensive for affordable housing development, right? Or the sacrifice would be you build far fewer units because you were spending all your money to acquire the property in, let's say, Bay Ridge or something like that, right? So I think we get the problem. It's super complicated. I'm just really glad I feel like Elaine is my conscience on this issue, and the stuff that she sends out, her team sends out, it makes me think about it. I don't know. I throw my hands up. It's frustrating, but I'm grateful to her for making us all, or helping us all to think about it. And let's talk more about it whenever you all can schedule, if that's an August session. I used to think August sounded far away. It actually doesn't. June, July, and then August. But we should talk about more, right, Elaine?
Yeah, and I would prefer before August if there's any way to get it in this.
Well, let's look. Yeah, let's look at the agenda and let's look at the idea of maybe in a month like July, maybe we do 2 meetings, right? We do a meeting for business and an educational session on something like this. I would be open to that.
Yeah, if folks are amenable, I think we're fine. We just are conscious of your time and of.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
Good,
well,
good for me.
Let's get back to the project, because I just looked at the clock and that made me nervous too. So, any other questions for Ruth Ann or Julie or Mike on the resolutions before our boards and committees with respect to Logan Fountain? Okay, if not, Alex, let's make it happen, if you please.
All right, now before the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee, a resolution that was transmitted in connection with the item, assuming the first and second is previously entered for the committee. All in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted. Now before SONYMA is a resolution transmitted in connection with that item, assuming the first and second is previously entered for SONYMA. All in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted. Now before the HFA members and the HFA Finance and Program Committee are resolutions adopted that were transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the first and second is previously entered for HFA and for the Finance Committee, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Motions are carried and the resolution adopted.
Great, thanks, Alex. Let's go to number 9. And this is going to take us from Brooklyn up to the Bronx. Resolution to SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee, SONYMA Board, recommending approval of mortgage insurance on a $20,590,000 HFA premise first mortgage loan for Star Hill Phase 1 in the Bronx. And Part B of item 9, resolutions of HFA Finance and Program Committee, HFA members, recommending and authorizing issuance of amounts not to exceed $109,308,000 of fixed rate and or variable rate tax exempt and or taxable bonds, and $31,514,746 in HFA subsidy for this project known as Star Hill Phase 1 in, as I say, the Bronx. Let's go back to the dynamic duo here, the tag team of Mike and Julie. Mike, you go first.
So this project comprises the new construction of 326 units, including 200 units of supportive housing. The insured loan amount is $63,000 per unit, which equals 11% of the project's total development cost of $579,000 per unit. The project will receive a New York City 420C full real estate tax exemption.
All right, good. Thank you, Julie.
Okay, Star Hill. So I'm pleased to present Star Hill. It is located in the Morris Heights neighborhood of the Bronx. This project will be new construction of a 14-story, 326-unit mixed affordable and supportive housing building. The project is being developed by SUS, Services for the Underserved, which is one of the most experienced supportive housing providers in the city. They're working in collaboration with Bronx Pro, which is another highly experienced general contractor and developer based in the Bronx. So this site, interestingly, side note, when I first started my career more than 15 years ago, Star Hill was sitting on my desk. So it's a reminder of how it can take really a long time for some of these projects to come to fruition. So I'm especially excited to be able to be heading up the team that's closing this one this time around. It's going to be developed on a site that previously housed a small Oasis residential treatment center that had been operated by SUS under contract with Oasis. So that site has been relocated, and the new building will have 200 units of permanent supportive housing under Hfa, with services provided by SUS under contract with Oasis. So we're serving the same population here, but in this case, we're serving them in permanent, non-licensed affordable housing. This project reaches several priorities and goals, including providing local community renewal and revitalization, and creating integrated supportive housing. The building is located in recently rezoned Jerome Avenue corridor. Is therefore an example of how the agency is supporting the city's recent rezoning initiatives. The site is well located near commercial and community facility uses. It is a walking distance to the B and D trains and numerous bus
All right.
Any questions?
Are you okay? Betsy, we don't feel like losing you there. Yeah, get some water, get a glass of water. Let's see if we got questions for Mike or for Betsy on this project in the Bronx. One of the, Ruth Ann, maybe second or third project we've seen a result of the Jerome Avenue rezoning.
Yeah.
Yeah, folks will remember Jerome Avenue is the north-south artery under the 4 train.
And zoning is a big, driver, right? To their previous conversation about where stuff happens. So I think where you have these.
That's another important, you've got, and interesting also, historically, kind of like parts of Atlantic Avenue, the default commercial use of Jerome Avenue was automotive, almost 350, 400 automotive repair businesses there, many of which are being, they have to relocate or are being shut down as a result of rezoning. But anyway, it's another story. So questions for the team on this project in the Bronx? Now, is this the postprandial slump right now? People had too much lunch, feeling. If there aren't any questions on this project in the Bronx, if not, we'll ask Mike to make it happen. Or sorry, not Mike, Alex.
I'm just getting over the post.
That's your cue, my friend.
Yep. Now before the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee is a resolution transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the first and second previously entered for the Mortgage Insurance Committee. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion is carried. The resolution adopted. Now before SONYMA is a resolution transmitted in connection with the item, assuming the first and second previously entered for SONYMA. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion is carried. Resolution adopted. Now before the HFA members and HFA financing program are resolutions that were transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the first and second is previously entered for HFA and for the Finance Committee. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motions are carried. The resolution adopted.
Alex, thank you. Now we move to the item requiring Mortgage Insurance Committee, SONYMA Board, HFA Finance and Program Committee, HFA members action, and HTFC action. This is number 10, item 10, that requires all the support from many of us, after which we're going to be able to excuse our SONYMA board members, because I believe this is the last SONYMA item of the 16 items on our agenda this afternoon. 10A, resolution SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee, SONYMA Board, recommending approving 100% mortgage insurance on a $23,860,000 HFA permanent first mortgage loan for Westview in Rochester. B, resolution to the HFA Finance and Program Committee. HFA members recommending authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $59,230,000 of fixed rate or variable rate tax exempt or taxable bonds, and, as if that was not enough, $24,513,401 in HFA subsidy for this project we know as Westview Apartments in Rochester. Now,
no,
it says Westchester County. Is there a Rochester in Westchester County? I have a hard time with that. Unless there is a Rochester I've never heard of in Westchester County. I would assume it's Monroe County, but what?
No, it's New Rochelle.
In Westchester, yeah.
Well, there you go. So
Yes.
Westview Projects is in New Rochelle, or where is?
Yes.
It's in New
It's in
Rochelle, sorry.
Mike, why don't you start and tell us where this project is? I'm just
So
confused.
this project in New
Flat
Rochelle
out confused here.
comprises the construction of 186 all low-income units. The insured loan amount is $128,000 per unit, which equals 24% of the project's total development cost of $527,000 per unit. And $128,000 per unit is a high loan amount for a low-income project. It's about half of what you would see in New York City, for example. And it's simply a function of the very high area median income for Westchester County and the resulting high rents for what are low-income apartments. For example, the rent for a 60% AMI two-bedroom apartment is $1,800.
Okay, yeah, that's helpful context. You know, here I was thinking, Rochester, and it's New Rochelle. I was definitely confused. So somebody, I don't know who did my script. We'll talk about that later. Question, Mike, thank you. Let's go to Julie, her version of the story for HFA.
Hi, everyone. I'm pleased to present the Westview Apartments. As was mentioned, it's located at 26 Garden Street in New Rochelle, Westchester County. So this is a new construction of a 14-story, 168 unit building with 2 levels of residential parking containing 42 spaces. This project is the second phase of a 3-phase project underway in New Rochelle as part of their transit-oriented comprehensive redevelopment of the historic downtown area. The project reaches a number of priorities, including supporting local community renewal and revitalization and supporting local planning and development initiatives. The development entity is MJ Garden 5, controlled by partners Mark Stagg of the Stagg Group and Joe Simone of Simone Development. They are also the developers of the first and third phase of this project and were selected under competitive RFP by the locality. All units will be affordable to residents earning up to 60% of AMI. Project amenities include a community room, computer room, and laundry facilities. As the site is well located in the historic downtown of New Rochelle, there are many commercial and community facilities within walking distance, and it is located less than a half mile from the New Rochelle train station that provides Metro North and Amtrak services. Additional amenities, that's all. This concludes my comments. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Julie. Questions for Julie or Mike on this project in New Rochelle? Well, hearing none, I'll ask Alex.
I have a quick question. Is there a IDA component of this that I missed?
I don't think on this component, because this is purely residential. They were involved in the courthouse development.
Okay, yeah, I didn't see it. I just wanted to make sure.
They're getting a pilot,
Thank you.
Julie, maybe from the IDA.
Yeah, that's what I'm checking right now.
I think they may be getting a pilot.
Yes, there is a pilot, which I presume is coming through the IDA.
The Westchester IDA or the New Rochelle IDA?
The New Rochelle IDA.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Welcome.
Thanks for checking on that, John. Save as much as we can here, especially in property taxes, which are, we of course know to be notorious in Westchester County. All right, any other questions or concerns for Julie or for Mike or for that matter, Ruth Ann or anybody else about this project? If not, we'll move on, Alex, and ask you please to introduce the motions to make this thing real.
Now before the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee is a resolution transmitted in connection with the item, assuming the first and seconds previously entered for the Mortgage Insurance Committee. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Right.
Motion is carried. The resolution adopted. Now before SONYMA is a resolution transmitted in connection with the item, assuming the first and seconds previously entered for SONYMA. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion is carried. Thank you. Motion is carried. Resolution adopted. Now before the HFA members and the HFA Finance and Program Committee, resolutions transmitted that were in connection with this item, assuming the first and seconds previously entered for HFA and for the Finance Committee. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motions are carried and the resolution adopted. Now before HTFC is a resolution transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the first and seconds previously entered for HTFC. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion is carried. The resolution adopted.
Alex, thank you. Thank you, everybody. And now, the moment many of you have been waiting for, oh so diplomatically and politely, there being no further items for the SONYMA board, Alex will ask for motions and seconds to adjourn our SONYMA meeting of May 16, 2022. Alex?
Assuming the first and second is previously entered for SONYMA, all in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion is carried. The meeting is adjourned. Our next SONYMA board meeting is scheduled for Thursday, June 9th at 8:30 a.m. Again, I remind the folks that we will be back to our old standard procedures so that folks can come in to 641 Lex or appear in the various video locations. And we'll send out an email reminder to the old board members and to the new board members to remind everybody about our sites and the process.
Alex, thank you for that.
Thank you, Alex. I got a quick question. Are we going to resume, or is it just a bygone era? The notion of printed paper copies of the documents, materials?
Prior to the pandemic, we had already switched to just putting them on the laptops. Right, Alex?
Yes.
That wasn't a pandemic casualty. I think that was a.
Well, it was first the move and then the pandemic, and now it's like, well, we already did it, but I can't fight City Hall on that one. Okay. Thought I'd check.
You know, don't ever let it be said that Mr. Ballin doesn't have an uncle in the paper business. So let's proceed.
No, I'm fine. I can't, again, I was hoping, I understand.
I think
I understand.
Nice to the staff. I bet you they could figure out a way to make a printed copy.
I don't know if they meant,
That's between
old
you
as
and
in
Ruth.
chronologically old members or old as in pre-existing board members, but I'm feeling like both given this.
Maybe you're both. Maybe we're both, John. I think we're both, John.
As per leaving. But I'll just mention, I don't know about my presence on the 9th because June 8th is our gala, our big gala. So I may not be vertical to get into a meeting on the 9th.
This is where dialing in remotely could be very handy for you.
Yeah.
You could do it remote. All right. Well, we wish you lots of luck with your gala, that's for sure. To our SONYMA board members who want to leave now, thank you for joining us this afternoon. The apology, probably I should be the one to apologize. So let me say I'm sorry that for scheduling reasons we're even doing this meeting this afternoon, because I'm going to guess I don't recall that there was probably something crazy with my schedule that forced this upon us. But anyway, thanks everybody for putting up with that. We're going to move on to items requiring HFA Finance and Program Committee and HFA members action. So I'm specifically about item number 11 in today's agenda.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye-bye, John. Bye, everybody. Bye, SONYMA friends. Resolutions authorizing financing approval of an amount not to exceed $24,685,000 fixed rate variable rate taxable bonds and an amount not to exceed $9,500,000 in HFA subsidy for the project known as Lamora Senior Apartments in Yonkers, also in Westchester. And just for a little change of scenery, because we're not doing mortgage insurance, Mike can step down and go get a glass of water. And for HFA, we're going to ask Russell Hubley to step forward to give Julie Behrens a chance to rest her voice. Russell, are you there, my friend?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Great, thanks. Sorry, I'm getting over a little bit of a cold, hopefully not as bad as Julie, although my apologies to my boss for having her do all those presentations. But I've got a few of my own, so I'll try to make them short and succinct, as Julie said as well. Lamora Senior Apartments is a sort of unique project in that is a new construction project whose developer is a nonprofit development arm of a public housing authority. In this case, that's the Mulford Corporation. They're an affiliate of the Municipal Housing Authority of the City of Yonkers, Macy. We've done quite a lot of preservation work with Macy over the past several years, virtually their entire portfolio of public housing, and it's been a very successful endeavor. Macy oversees over 2,600 units of public housing in the state. I think that might make them the second largest after NYCHA. So anyway, this project is technically not public housing, though the owner will be the Public Housing Authority through a 99-year ground lease to the nonprofit single-purpose entity, Mulford, that I mentioned. This will be the creation of 60 new units of 100% affordable housing for seniors aged 62 and older in a 4-story building. All of the units will be eligible for project-based rental assistance through the Housing Authority, who will also property manage the building and provide a host of services for the senior residents. The project will be located in the Hollow, which is a residential neighborhood in Yonkers, about 1.5 miles from Getty Square, which is the city's central business district. It is a priority project for the city of Yonkers in addressing a need for affordable senior housing, and the city is fully committed to its development. They're providing the land for which the project is being built. They are providing home funding in the amount of $650,000. They're also providing a real estate tax abatement in the form of a 35-year pilot. All of this in addition to HFA's customary 40-year regulatory agreement, the 99-year ground lease that I previously mentioned, and Westchester County's own 50-year declaration of restrictive covenants. By the way, the county is providing its own $3.75 million in site infrastructure assistance. So that comes with an affordability restriction as well. This is a fully financed and fortified affordable housing project for the long haul. As I mentioned, the project is 1.5 miles northeast of downtown Yonkers, up along Nepperhan Avenue, to be located at 23 Mulberry Street. The county's number 8 and number 25 bus lines stop each a block from the project. 4 other bus lines are within a 1/4 mile. There is other senior housing in the area, and frail elderly residents will have access to transportation provided by the COI Office for the Aging. Services for seniors in the area include St. John's Riverside Hospital, St. Joseph's Hospital and Medical Center. There are several parks, as well as the Dunwoody Golf Course within 1/2 mile of the project. The developer, Mulford and Macy, have partnered with the City of Yonkers Office of the Aging to provide a supportive services plan for this project to all seniors. The programs will be funded by the City of Yonkers Office of Aging and federal and state grants through Westchester County Department of Senior Programs and Services. To meet an array of needs, the service provider will provide all residents with case management, home-delivered meals where needed, assistance with entitlement programs, transportation, health awareness, access to nutrition centers and recreation, exercise programs, trips to the supermarket, pharmacy for delivery coordination, and there will be no fees to the tenants for these services. Finally, the building itself will be constructed to meet the highest standards of energy efficiency that the agency requires, meeting the EPA Energy Star multifamily high-rise program and NYSERDA's multifamily new construction program. There'll be passive house sustainability standards for design and construction. And as alluded to previously, the project's permanent first mortgage will be insured through will not be insured through SONYMA, which is why SONYMA's board is not required to weigh in on this one. It'll be going through the HUD FHA risk share program. HFA has a risk share agreement with HUD for this program whereby FHA will insure the permanent first mortgage loan. HFA shares a 10% risk position. We typically do this on public housing projects, which are historically very low risk of default. This project is a perfect candidate for the program, even though technically it's not public housing. It relieves some of the high reliance on Fannie Mae for mortgage insurance, and it helps HFA to diversify its bond issuance portfolio. Thank you.
All right, terrific. Thanks very much. Russell, questions for Russell on this important project?
Only that I wrote cool on my notes when I was reading through this one.
Now before the
Go ahead, Alex. Yes, please. Thank you.
now before the HFA members and the HFA Finance and Program Committee are resolutions that were transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the first and second is previously entered for HFA and its Finance Committee, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motions are carried. Resolution adopted.
Thanks, everybody. And thanks, Russell. Number 12, resolutions authorizing finance approval for an amount not to exceed $105,190,800. a fixed rate or variable rate tax exempt or taxable bonds for the project known as 405 West 206th in New York City, New York County. We're going to go back to Julie, who by now has had a glass of water, hopefully cleared her throat, and is ready to describe this to us. Julie, up to you.
Actually, Ken, Russell, I'll take this one too.
Fine, Russell. You're on a roll, my friend.
Actually, is it possible to present number 12, this item, and number 13 together? They are tied together, and I'll explain why. It's basically one project, but they're separate parcels, which is why we had to separate them out as separate financings. But if it's easier, I'd like to present them together.
If it works for Alex, it works for me.
Yeah, we'll do separate votes, but one presentation is fine.
That sounds like it'll save some time.
Great, thank you. Okay, so as I mentioned, these are two separate parcels. The reason they are being separated out, items 12 and items 13, is because the agency will finance each building separately, as each parcel will have a separate single-purpose owner and ownership structure. So we're talking about Lot 21, which is 405 West 206th Street, and Lot 9, which is 407 West 206th Street, in the Inwood section of New York, of Manhattan. There will be two separate loans with two separate borrowers. Lot 9 will be owned through a ground lease, and Lot 21 will have a fee simple owner. During the construction period, the mortgages will be cross-defaulted in order to ensure control over the total development in the event of a default. Each loan will be funded by both tax-exempt and taxable bonds, which I'll explain in a moment. 405 and 407 West 206th Street in Inwood is a wholly unique mixed income project for the agency. We've done our share of 80-20s in the past, some 75-25s, but this is the first 60-40, by which I mean 40% of the units will be 100% affordable to residents with incomes at or below 80% AMI. That's 281 new affordable units, and 416 units, or 60%, will be market rate. However, within that market rate portion, 10% of those units, or 69 units, will have rents set initially at 120% AMI and will be subject to rent stabilization guidelines. The HFA's tax-exempt bonds that we're issuing will finance just the affordable portion. The taxable bonds will be used for the market rate and commercial portions of the project. Inwood is rapidly gentrifying neighborhood in Manhattan. The creation of 281 affordable units, and with 349 of the total units secured under rent stabilization, should help to address some of the need for continued affordable housing in the neighborhood. The Lot 21 project will have one 17-story tower building. The Lot 9 project will have two towers, 12 stories and 14 stories each. All three towers will share one story podium with a landscaped interior courtyard on the bottom. The site is located between 206th and 207th Streets and 9th and 10th Avenues in Manhattan. The affordable units will be evenly distributed throughout the towers and will be equally sized along with the market units. The site itself, it's huge. It's 767,000 square feet with approximately 665,000 square feet of residential space. There'll be 44,000 square feet of ground floor commercial space to be used for a grocery store and local retail. 16,000 square feet of community space will be occupied by a nonprofit theater organization, and 132 spaces parking garage will be constructed on the bottom. Shared amenities for both of these parcels for all of the residents, affordable and market rate, will include a fitness center, resident lounge, wellness meditation room, a children's playroom, and, as I mentioned earlier, landscaped outdoor space. The project is also part of a brownfield cleanup program and thus will qualify for brownfield tax credits along with the as-of-right credits that we're providing. In addition, the project is expected to meet or exceed New York City's mandatory inclusionary zoning MIH requirements. They're going through option 1, and they will also be going through New York City's 421A program, option A. The 421A is a real estate tax abatement for up to 3 years during construction, plus an additional 35 years thereafter. The project will receive a full tax exemption for the first 25 years. Then the tax exemption will be equal to the percentage of affordable units in the project for the remaining 10 years. This will likely be one of the last projects that qualifies for the 421A program, as that program is set to expire on June 15th. The project will meet the agency's high energy efficiency criteria for new construction. They'll qualify for our mandatory green and energy conservation requirements via the LEED 4.1 BD plus C certification, qualifying the project for a climate bond initiative. The project is developed as a joint venture between affiliates of L&M Development Partners, M Squared, and Titanic Partners. L&M has been active in the management and development of construction of affordable housing, market housing, and supportive housing for over 30 years. They've done a ton of successful work with the agency, including the Vital Brooklyn project that was just previously presented by Julie. M Squared is a certified women-owned real estate development firm founded by Alicia Glenn that partners with government agencies and developers to build projects that embrace and support diversity. And Taconic Partners, who will serve as the property manager, is a fully integrated real estate development company that has developed over 12 million square feet of office, mixed-use, and retail space, and close to 6,500 units of rental multifamily housing. Finally, the financing structure is that Wells Fargo, the construction lender and servicer, will direct purchase the HFA bonds, and upon conversion, the bonds will be permanently credit enhanced by the GSE program that Fannie Mae provides. On large-scale projects with mixed income and commercial components where HFA is only using its tax-exempt bonds for the affordable portion, the GSE model saves the project a substantial amount of interest and fees. In complement to the Federal Housing Supply Action Plan that the Commissioner mentioned earlier today, this project complements that those efforts to explore new approaches to financing, especially with the federally GSE subsidized programs like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. I'll take any questions. I know this is a rather complicated development.
Nice tie-in, Russell. Very nice.
Sure.
There's about a week of 421A left between our June board meeting and the expiration of the legislation, right? Questions for Russell, Ruth Ann, and the team on items, should we do it, well, considering them together, 13 and 14.
Uh, 12 and 13.
I'm sorry, I got my numbers off, don't I? 12 and 13. Thank you, Alex. 405 West 206th Street. And thank you, Russell, for filling in for Julie on this. Alex, why don't you we have to vote them separately, right? Because they are separate items.
Yeah, but I just want folks to focus on the map that they included here and note that the residents of this project will have access to Venezuelan, Havana tacos, Floriditas, comida china cerca de ti, that's Chinese food near you, Ecuadorian restaurant, and I'm missing, so we got Ecuadorian, Venezuelan, Dominican, Cuban, and Chinese Cuban, all within 5 minutes. I believe that is a first for our
and you're not even in Jackson Heights, right? Like here in Queens, that would be ezy, but we're doing this.
I forgot, there's also a Mexican place, so it's amazing. And the liquor store, has a Spanish name. Vinos.
This is why we often think Ruth Ann is making a great personal sacrifice when she goes to ribbon cutting. In fact, she gets to bring treats back to the office. Thank you. Why don't we put it to a vote?
All right, Ken. I know you like the geographic stuff, so I gave you a little.
It's also right over the bridge from your former stomping grounds, Ken, right? I think this is, if you were at BCC, you could just.
Totally, I could see the site. You're probably right, from high up on Burnside Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Alex.
All right.
Alex, this is Sadie.
Yeah.
CPC is invested in the M Square Fund, so I think I need to recuse myself here. Do you have a quorum?
No. Oh, no, I don't think we do because Justice Sconiers did not join us. So I think that means we have Ken, Ruth Ann, 2, Chris, 3, Jesse, 4, B, 5, and this is the problem with our statute these days. So we need 6.
Right.
So maybe, you know, we got a great presentation, Ruth Ann, right? So we'll have to put this off.
Even with an abstention, we need a quorum?
Yeah, because we need a vote of, we need a vote of 6 members in order to adopt a resolution. So we only have 5, but we have Ken, Ruth Ann, 2, Chris, 3, Jesse, 4, and UB is 5. Joyce is not here. Sadie's recusing herself, and Judge Scornius is not. So it doesn't meet our voting requirement.
I mean, I'm assuming I need to recuse myself because CPC has a very small interest in the M Square Fund, but you know.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we vote on it, and you can vote, okay? And let's adopt it since there's support for the board, and then let's go back and we can revisit whether you needed to recuse yourself, and if in fact it turns out that you did, we'll inform the board, and then we'll take other steps. But preliminarily, let's just vote on it.
Okay. Sorry, I
don't
didn't
mind, Sadie.
recognize.
Sadie, are you okay with that, Sadie? We'll
I'm okay with that, Ken.
vote. And then if we have to undo your vote and vote again in June, we'll do that.
Okay.
And
if Alex,
yes.
if there is a conflict, then we'll be all right. Okay.
Just trying to be very conservative. Okay.
No, it's the right thing to do.
All right. Okay, so now we'll do 405 West 206 first, since it's separate parcels. Now before the HFA members and the HFA Finance and Program Committee are resolutions to be transmitted that were in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second is previously entered for HFA and for the Finance Committee, and noting Sadie's a possible issue here, we're going to vote. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, the motion is carried and the resolution adopted. We'll revisit this vote later. And for item 13 now, this is 407 West 206, the same thing. HFA members and HFA Finance Committee. Those in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, the motion is carried, the resolution adopted. The same with that, we'll revisit it. Thank you, Sadie, appreciate it.
Sure.
Okay, so now, Alex, we reach a point in the agenda where I become the problem. I mean, because I had a hard stop at 3 and it's now 3:06, and I really have to go. We're interviewing candidates for LaGuardia Provost today, and someone has traveled, and I have to see this candidate at 3 o'clock. So what will happen if I leave right now? What do we have left?
Because I have to recuse myself from a lot.
Right.
Yeah, and the problem is, Ken, I would ask that we need to have one more item for HFA, and then the AHC vote, so we can finish up HFA. And the problem is that we haven't even started the HTFC agenda. And if you're not available, that leaves Ruth Ann 1, Chris 2, Jesse 3, Sadie 4, and B 5. We need 6, and Sadie will have to recuse herself on a couple. So we can't take up HTFC at all.
So let's find another time, maybe, and if we can, right? Maybe sometime in the next week, 7 days or
yeah,
so.
I'll do my best to try to find another time, but I really can't. You know, I'm running late right now.
Understood. So maybe we could try to find an hour, Alex, in the next 5 to 7 days, just to do the rest of this. We could try to knock it out quickly. Okay.
Alex, did you say you wanted to do the last HFA item, which is 13?
Yeah. Before you go, I think unless board members have questions, we could just take up item 14, which is a Gotham West HFA vote, and the affordable and AHC. The AHC. Oh, I'm sorry. We also have a resolution item 15 that we need to adopt. That we need for our affordable indenture. It's a resolution adopting some previously approved resolutions.
Can Ken,
Gee.
Alex, can Ken vote in the affirmative for things and then hop off and then the presentation?
Yeah.
You just talk through them. I think we
Great,
did that once
great.
before, Ken, right? Where you sort of gave a pre-vote of yay for items 15 and 14 and 15, and then we can let Ken go. Alex, can we do that?
Yes.
Great.
Good
Well,
suggestion.
let me do that, Alex, for the record. Let me give you my affirmative vote for the two items that you just mentioned that Ruth Ann repeated, so that you have my vote recorded, and then you can add it. You can actually do the motion, get everybody else's votes, and those will be done. And then Ruth Ann, let's figure out if we do HTFC separately, okay?
Yep.
We've tried to move this along, but till hit 3 o'clock mark, but we had a lot. Actually, we had more than when I said, oh, we only have 16 items, I wasn't looking at we did Sunny May items, but I wasn't looking at the HTFC agenda. So, all right. Thanks, Ruth Ann, for helping me out. Thanks, Alex. Thanks, everybody. Good seeing you all. And we'll see the makeup session and then in early June. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye. All right, so now we move to item 14, a resolution authorizing the approval of a supplemental resolution amending the date on which the 2013 Series A bonds are subject to mandatory redemption. So that it becomes January 15th, 2023 for Gotham West in New York County. Melina, are you on?
I am on. Hello. So Gotham West project is an existing 80/20 that was originally approved by the board on June 14, 2011 to finance the new construction of a multifamily rental project in New York City. At construction completion, the borrower refinanced the loan and implemented a mode change into direct purchase mode whereby Wells Fargo purchased all of the bonds for a term of 15 years. At the time of the refinancing, due to Wells Fargo's underwriting criteria, the existing 2013 Series A series resolution is subject to a mandatory redemption in just a few days, on June 1st, 2022. So the borrower and Wells Fargo is requesting to amend the resolution to change the date of the mandatory redemption to January 15th, 2023. And this will provide the borrower with a 6-month extension to restructure the financing, which at some point in the fall, I will be bringing back to the board for a refinancing of this project. I kindly request the board members and the committee to approve the proposed amendment with this new mandatory redemption date, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay. So now before the HFA members and the HFA Finance and Program Committee are the resolutions that were transmitted in connection with the item. Assuming the first and seconds previously entered for HFA and for the Finance Committee, and including the vote from Chairman Adams, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion is carried. The resolution is adopted. The next item is item 15. I think Russell's going to present this. Russell, it's the adoption of resolutions amending certain previously approved resolutions to authorize the issuance of bonds approved thereunder in either a fixed rate or a variable rate mode, and to increase previously approved subsidy amounts. Russell?
Sure, got it. Okay. In all of our current memos for the board for authorization of projects today, there's been, in the omnibus resolutions, there's been language that allows for the flexibility and the agency's ability to pursue bond issuance options in light of the current rising interest rate market conditions and inflationary environment. We are basically looking for flexibility in pursuing possible variable rate issuance options on our bond issuances. There were 3 projects that were previously approved by the board prior to today that we're closing in June that we had not had this language flexibility in our resolutions, and so that's why I'm presenting this item. These projects are expected to close in the June resolution with the others. All 3 of these projects are expected to close. They were delayed for various reasons. Ithaca Housing Authority was waiting on HUD approvals. The Whitney project was waiting for a pilot agreement from the city of Buffalo, and Yates Village is set up to close in 3 separate tranches, so we were expecting the 3rd tranche for June. And in order to save time and paper, we're also lumping in a request for authorization for additional subsidy on 2 of those 3 projects, the Ithaca Housing Authority project and the Whitney Apartments project, where the subsidy amounts that were previously approved have increased beyond our 15% allowable cushion. Current market conditions, increasing construction costs have necessitated the need for additional subsidy in order for these projects to continue to maintain their feasibility and proceed towards construction closing and preservation. So an additional $5.1 million in HFA subsidy for Ithaca Housing Authority redevelopment. This is a total increase of about 33% from the previous request. Totaling $20.547 million. Again, this is due to long and short-term interest rate hikes, construction period costs, and insurance inflation, and increased hard costs due to materials and things like that you're seeing kind of all over the board here. Additional $1.183505 million in HFA subsidy for Whitney Apartments. This is a total increase of about 35% from the previous request. This is due to the same reasons as I just mentioned. Also, Whitney was unable to secure home funding from the city of Buffalo, which created a gap. So we're looking to fill that with this additional subsidy. Please note there are no other changes to any of these projects' previous presentations or requests for any additional considerations from the members. Thank you.
Okay, and this has been reviewed by both the internal legal counsel and by our outside counsel in terms of the prior approvals. So now before the HFA members is a resolution transmitted in connection with the item, assuming the first and second is previously entered for all the HFA members, including Chairman Adams. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion is carried, the resolution adopted. Item 16 is a review and approval of an environmental determination for Vital Brooklyn Parks and Estates, and Heather will present that.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good. Today I have for you a standalone seeker determination, which we're bringing forth because we are the lead agency for this action, and the ESD needs the seeker and negative declaration in order to proceed with its zoning override for this project. And so that is why we're bringing it at this time ahead of any award. So this is a project by Canva. It's new construction of a 9-story building with 328 affordable units. And from a seeker perspective, the project we're requesting that the agency categorize the project as a type 1 due to its proximity to a park. It is the, let me find the name of the park, I apologize. There we go.
Rolf Henry Playground?
Yes, thank you. And studies were done to ensure that there would not be adverse effects caused by noise or shadows on the park, and the park would not have any adverse impacts to it. There's an extensive environmental review conducted, and at this time, I request a categorization of a type 1 action with a negative declaration, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Okay, now before the HFA, I'm getting an echo. Is the resolution adopted transmitted in connection with the item? Second is previously entered.
Can't hear
All
you.
in favor, say aye.
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 All right, thank you. The motion is carried, the resolution adopted. The remaining items, the next 3 items are information items, the procurement items in the lobby and restricted period, a CEI project additional information item that was in the book, and then the annual report of the SONYMA Community Rescue Fund. That is the subsidiary that was created a few years ago. The SONYMA members are not here, but it was included in the book. And the final item is the AHC consent item. Item 20, resolutions authorizing the award of grant funds for projects located inside and outside of New York City.
No, Alex, it's just outside the city of New York.
Just outside. Thank you, Dominic. So the chairman were here. He was saying all kinds of wonderful things about these grants. We're just going to try to move to the vote. So now before AHC is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and seconds previously entered for AHC, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Thank you all.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you, Dominic. The motion is carried, the resolution adopted. So Ruthann, I think this is the, we're going to have to postpone the HTFC items for, as we said, a future meeting. So there being no further items for the HFA, AHC, and for the Finance Committee, I'm going to ask for motions and seconds to adjourn the HFA, AHC, and HTFC and HFA Finance and Program Committee meetings. All those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
Alice, can I ask one? Sorry, can I ask one question before we don't have any ability to do them by written, right? Approvals? Is that right for anything?
Yeah, I think the bylaws permit that, but under the open meetings law, email approval of items is not permitted.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to check that before we let everyone go. Okay.
Yeah. So our next HFA AHC board meetings are scheduled for Thursday, June 9th. And please note that in June, the HTFC meeting for June will not be held on the same day as HFA. It'll be held on June 23rd. So maybe we can consider, this the items of today's HTFC meeting to our June 9th meeting. But
okay, we'll circle back on that.
If it can't be done any earlier.
Okay.
Okay. So
okay,
did I hear everybody voting to adjourn?
No, I think I interrupted. I'm okay with I approve adjourning.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.